Archangel Michael is crying out, because you keep ignoring him. This isn't a joke. What someone just confessed about you will change everything. Open now, you won't be the same after this. There is a spiritual message you were meant to hear right now. Not tomorrow, not later. Now. Something is shifting in the spirit realm around you, and heaven has been trying to reach you. This is not just a sign. This is a divine intervention. You were guided here for a reason. You didn't click this by accident. Your soul already knew. That inner pull, that quiet ache in your chest that says, "There's something more for me," that was your angels whispering. But now, they're not whispering anymore. Archangel Michael, he's crying out. Not in anger. Not in judgment. But in pain. Pain because you've been walking with a blindfold. Because you've been surrounded by messages, signs, dreams, and still, you turn away. Not out of defiance, but because life has worn you down so much that you don't even know what to believe anymore. You've been hurt. Abandoned. Betrayed by people who claimed they cared. And somewhere in that heartbreak, you stopped listening. You stopped believing you were chosen. But you are. Michael has been assigned to you for a reason. He's been defending you in battles you didn't even know were being fought. He stood in the spirit while you cried on your bedroom floor. When you begged for a sign, a breakthrough, or just one thing to go right, he was already moving on your behalf. But the truth is, angels need your permission. They need your yes. They need your willingness to believe again. And right now, Michael is weeping because you've let the voices of fear, of doubt, of trauma, drown out the voice of heaven. But that's about to change. Someone just spoke your name. Not in a conversation you were part of, but in a sacred confession. Someone who once misunderstood you, has finally realized the truth. Someone who once doubted you, now knows your value. You have no idea how many prayers have been lifted for you in secret. People you barely know, people you forgot about, have been bringing your name before the heavens. They've seen your light, even when you couldn't. And heaven is responding. Right now, your angels are standing at the edge of breakthrough. But there's one thing that has to shift. Your attention. You've been giving too much energy to distractions, to pain that's already expired, to people who were never meant to stay. You've been focused on surviving when God is calling you to rise. This message is sacred. And I want you to understand something clearly. When you hear this, you are being activated. Not everyone will feel this. But if your heart is burning right now, if your stomach feels tight, if your spirit is stirring, it means this is for you. You've been marked, chosen, protected. Even in your lowest moments, you were never abandoned. Michael wants you to hear this loud and clear. you are not crazy. You are not cursed. You are not broken. You are in transition. And transitions are uncomfortable because the old parts of you are being stripped away. Your false identities. Your limited beliefs. Your wounded expectations. All of it is crumbling, and that's a good thing. But it doesn't feel like a blessing when you're in the middle of the storm. That's why this message comes with fire and softness. Because heaven is both gentle and fierce when it comes to your destiny. And right now, they are being fierce. The time for hesitation is over. The time for pretending you're okay when you're not, is over. The time for silencing your gifts, shrinking your presence, hiding your heart, is over. Michael has unsheathed his sword. That means a spiritual battle is being waged in your honor. You've been under attack because you are a threat to darkness. Let me say that again, you are a threat. That's why the attacks intensified. That's why people turned on you. That's why you kept losing jobs, friends, peace, sleep. It wasn't punishment, it was proof of your power. Heaven doesn't go silent when you're forgotten. Heaven watches closest when you're most vulnerable. But now you must rise. Not later. Not when you feel ready. Now. This is your call. Not a gentle whisper, but a trumpet sound. Comment, Jesus, you are my song in the storm, if he carried you. If you're still watching, that means your spirit is responding. Your soul remembers. You knew this truth before the world tried to strip it from you. You are not who they said you were. You're not the weak one. You're not the black sheep. You're not the failure or the one who got left behind. You are a spiritual warrior. A divine assignment in human form. You were sent here to change things, to shift the vibration of entire bloodlines. And you've been feeling tired, because your calling is heavy. But you were made for this. Your angels have watched you stay silent when you could have defended yourself. They saw you forgive when you could have retaliated. They saw you keep walking when everything in you wanted to collapse. And now, heaven says it's your turn. It's your turn for restoration. It's your turn for recognition. It's your turn to receive everything that was always meant for you. But here's what you must do. Say yes. Out loud or in your heart, say yes. That's the only permission heaven needs. Your agreement opens the gate. Your faith is the key. You don't have to know how it all unfolds. You just have to trust that it will. Your angels will do the rest. The divine will rearrange everything. The moment you surrender, the moment you choose to believe again, things will start aligning in ways you can't even imagine. You'll notice people acting differently around you. You'll see certain doors closing. That's not rejection. That's protection. You'll meet people who feel like home, that's divine connection. You'll feel urges to move, to pray, to rest, to create. Follow them. Your soul is realigning. You're being tuned to a higher frequency. And yes, there will still be tests. But now you won't face them alone. You never were alone, but now you'll feel the difference. You'll feel the presence of your guides. The strength of Archangel Michael beside you. The comfort of divine love surrounding you like a blanket. If you've been crying lately, that's cleansing. If you've been seeing repeated numbers, that's confirmation. If you've been dreaming vividly, waking up exhausted, you've been traveling in the spirit. There is more happening around you than the eye can see. And this message? It's your alignment point. Everything begins here. Let the others scoff. Let them roll their eyes and call this crazy. You don't need their validation. You need your alignment. Because someone just confessed something about you. Something true. Something powerful. They admitted that you've always had something different, something they couldn't name, but couldn't forget. And now, what was hidden is being revealed. You will be honored in places you were once overlooked. You will be remembered where you were once erased. Michael wants you to remember who you are. You don't have to fight for it. You don't have to prove it. Just be it. Just return. To your light. To your peace. To your destiny. And even now, as you sit in the stillness of this moment, something inside you is awakening. Not the surface self, the one the world sees and judges, but the deeper you. The you that remembers things before they happen. The you that feels energy in a room before anyone speaks. The you that was always different and never understood why. That part of you isn't broken. It's ancient. Sacred. That part of you is the real reason Archangel Michael has been assigned to your journey. You've carried pain in silence for so long, haven't you? You've been the one others come to for healing, while no one notices your own wounds. You've been strong for everyone else, but when it's your turn to fall apart, the room grows empty. That's not coincidence. That's spiritual responsibility. Not everyone around you was meant to hold your weight. They weren't meant to understand your mission, because they weren't chosen to walk it. But that doesn't mean you're meant to suffer alone. That's what your angels want to change. They've been waiting for your heart to soften, just enough, to let them in. Not in theory. Not in religious tradition. But in real, raw, everyday relationship. Because heaven isn't distant. Heaven is here. Around you. Inside you. Always speaking. Always guiding. And right now, they're reminding you of something you've forgotten. You have always been protected. Think about the moments you almost gave up. The nights you prayed with tears in your throat. The choices you made that should have ended badly, but somehow didn't. That wasn't luck. That was divine interception. That was Michael blocking attacks you couldn't see. That was angels moving people out of your life before they could poison your purpose. That was the hand of God keeping your heart alive even when everything around you was dying. You've asked for signs. This is one of them. You've asked for clarity. It's here. You've asked for the pain to stop. It will, but only when you stop clinging to the version of you that pain created. The pain forged your strength, yes. It deepened your empathy. But now you must release the identity that was built on survival. You are not here to survive anymore. You are here to live. To rise. To embody light without guilt, without shrinking, without needing to explain why you're no longer available for mediocrity. The truth is, you're being called higher. That's why you've felt uncomfortable lately. That's why nothing feels the same. People who once felt like home now feel like noise. Habits that once soothed you now make you restless. Places that once inspired you now feel too small. That's not your ego talking. That's your spirit maturing. That's heaven pulling you out of the shallow end because you were always meant to swim in the deep. But you've been trying to carry too many people into waters they weren't ready for. It's time to release. Not in anger. In love. You see, your angels are not asking you to walk away from everyone. But they are asking you to choose yourself, and trust that those meant to walk beside you will rise to meet you. You don't have to force it anymore. Not the friendships. Not the relationship. Not the version of you that makes others feel comfortable. That was never your job. Your job is to remember who you are and embody that fully. No more hiding. No more apologizing for your presence. No more watering yourself down to make others comfortable. This message is a spiritual shift, not just in words, but in frequency. And whether you realize it or not, you're being activated as you listen. Your vibration is rising. Your intuition is sharpening. Your awareness is expanding. And what once felt like confusion will begin to feel like clarity. What once drained you will no longer have access to you. And that's not arrogance, that's alignment. And yes, it might get lonely. But even in the loneliness, you're being reshaped. Heaven often removes the crowd before revealing the crown. You're not being punished. You're being purified. And Archangel Michael wants you to understand something deeply. You are royalty in the spirit. Not in ego. Not in superiority. But in divine identity. You are a light bearer. A truth teller. A breaker of cycles. That means your life will not look like others. That means you will not fit into every space. You were never meant to. Stop trying to blend in when you were born to shift atmospheres. You are the one your bloodline has been waiting for. You are the answer to the generational prayer. You are the first in your lineage to say no more. No more self-abandonment. No more fear-based living. No more pretending. And because of your choice, your children, or your children's children, will know freedom in ways your ancestors only dreamed of. But it begins now. With you. With your yes. Michael is not crying out to shame you. He's crying out because you are finally ready. And if you're still here, still watching, still feeling this in your spirit, then you are already being transformed. It's happening. The shift. The awakening. The turning point. This is it. And what comes next will not be small. You're stepping into divine acceleration. What once took years will now take months. What once felt impossible will begin to unfold naturally. Because you are now operating from alignment. You're not chasing, you're attracting. You're not begging, you're receiving. You're not confused, you're guided. But remember, this isn't a passive process. Your participation is required. Your trust is necessary. Not blind trust, but sacred trust. Trust that what is falling away is making room for something greater. Trust that what feels uncertain is actually divine order in disguise. Trust that you are more held than you've ever been. And when the doubts come, and they will come, return to this message. Replay it. Let it sink into your soul. Let it remind you of who you are and who walks with you. Let it drown out the lies that once kept you small. Let it reignite the fire you tried to put out because the world didn't know how to handle your flame. You were never too much. They were simply too dim. Type, "You are my morning light, Lord," if He gives you new hope. So rise, radiant soul. Rise knowing your time is here. Rise knowing you are supported by an army of light. Rise knowing that Michael goes before you, clearing paths, severing cords, and guarding your destiny. Rise knowing the divine has not forgotten you. In fact, heaven is spotlighting you now. And this spotlight is not for attention. It's for mission. You are needed. Not for what you do, but for who you are. Your presence is the medicine. Your energy is the shift. Your voice is the frequency that heals. And it's time the world receives what you've been hiding. And now that your spirit is open, now that your heart has softened enough to receive, something begins to settle within you. Not a loud miracle. Not fireworks. But a quiet knowing. A peace that doesn't make sense, but somehow feels more real than anything you've ever known. It feels like home, not a place, but a state of being. The home you've been seeking in people, in places, in accomplishments, has always been found within the light you carry. It's been there, buried beneath layers of rejection, betrayal, abandonment, guilt, shame, fear, and now those layers are being peeled away. Slowly, gently, by divine hands that have never stopped holding you. You've been walking through the valley thinking you were forgotten, but heaven has been guiding your every step. You've never walked alone. You've only been walking in preparation. Every delay has been design. Every detour has been divine. You thought you were being but the truth is, you were being protected from things you didn't even know were breaking. Archangel Michael has been weeping not because you failed, but because he sees how close you are to delivering who you are. And he knows that once you remember, nothing will ever stop you again. He sees the battles you fought in silence, the spiritual weight you carried without praise, the nights you prayed even when you felt no answers coming. And he wants you to know, heaven saw it already. Your prayers didn't fall on deaf ears. They were stored. They were multiplied. They were sent ahead of you into your future to become the open doors, the right connections, the divine protection that now awaits. Because nothing you've done in love has been lost. Nothing you've endured in faith has been wasted. The seeds you planted in seasons of tears are about to bloom in ways you never expected. And yet, this moment is not just about breakthrough. It's about becoming. Heaven isn't just interested in fixing your situation. Heaven is invested in transforming your identity. The real blessing is not the money, the job, the relationship, or the solution. The real blessing is the version of you that can finally receive those things without being crushed under the weight of them. You are being stretched now so you can hold more. You are being refined now so you can carry more light. You are being tested now so that what comes next doesn't destroy you, but elevates you. So many people crave elevation, but they fear the isolation that comes with it. And that's where you are now, in the space in between. The quiet place where old things no longer fit, but the new hasn't fully arrived. It's uncomfortable, yes. But it's holy. This is sacred space. The chrysalis before the wings. Archangel Michael is not just protecting you, he is also pushing you. Not in cruelty, but in love. Because he knows you were made for more than this limbo. More than this half-life. More than this numb existence. You were created to soar. But you can't do that while still clinging to things meant only for the ground. The habits. The fears. The toxic patterns. The familiar pain. They may feel like home, but they are not your truth. You are meant to move in truth now. And truth doesn't always feel good. In fact, sometimes it breaks everything we built on illusion. But in the rubble, we finally find what's real. You're not being punished when people leave. You're not being punished when plans fall apart. You're being aligned. And alignment requires surrender. That means letting go of what you thought it would look like so you can receive what heaven knows it's meant to be. Your path was never going to look like everyone else's. That's the cost of being chosen. But it's also the gift. Because while others chase things, you attract them. While others fake strength, yours has been forged in sacred fire. While others seek signs, you are the sign. You've always been. And that's why this moment is so important. It's not just another video. It's not just another emotional message. This is a spiritual checkpoint. A divine reminder. A call to attention. Heaven is watching to see what you'll do with this truth. Will you tuck it away for later? Or will you act now, knowing that delay is one of the enemy's most seductive tools? Don't let fear be your language anymore. Speak the words you've been holding back. Sing the song your soul came here to release. Walk into rooms like you belong there, because you do. Show up in your full energy, even if it intimidates those who can't yet see clearly. Because your visibility is not a threat. It's a beacon. It's a lighthouse to other souls still drowning in their forgetting. And yes, they'll talk. They always do. They'll misunderstand your healing. They'll question your change. They'll whisper when you walk away. Let them. That is their noise, not your truth. You were not born for smallness. You were born to rise, and when you rise, some will fall away. Let it be so. That's not loss. That's sacred release. That's divine pruning. You are not who you were yesterday. You are not even who you were an hour ago. The moment your spirit received this message, you shifted. And from this point forward, you will begin to see through new eyes. The veil is lifting. The patterns are breaking. The fog is clearing. And what you'll find, when the dust settles, is yourself. The real you. The radiant, resilient, reborn version. Not the one who learned to adapt for approval. Not the one who learned to tolerate pain in silence. But the one who remembers why they came. The one who carries ancient wisdom in their bones. The one who was born for such a time as this. This is not the end of your story. This is the beginning of your revelation. The unveiling. The return. The rising. Archangel Michael will walk with you now more visibly. You'll feel his presence more clearly. You'll sense the protection more deeply. You'll know when to pause and when to move. You'll recognize what is divine and what is disguised. Your discernment will sharpen. Your power will multiply. Your energy will magnetize the very people and opportunities that were always meant for you, but had been waiting for you to say yes. You remember now why your soul chose this path, even though it's been hard. You remember the fire you came to carry. You remember the ancient strength that was never taken from you, only hidden beneath pain and time. That remembrance is not just emotional, it's energetic. Your entire vibration is shifting because truth always restores what falsehood tried to bury. And the moment you begin to walk in that truth, everything that is not aligned with your divine path will begin to fall away. This can feel disorienting at first. You may feel more emotional. You may feel more tired, more sensitive to sound, to light, to other people's energy. You're not imagining this. You are literally being rewired from the inside out. Your nervous system, your spirit, your heart, your thoughts, they are recalibrating to a higher frequency. One that no longer operates from fear, but from clarity. One that no longer bends to survive, but stands to serve. One that doesn't ask for permission, but walks in divine authority because you were always meant to be a bridge between realms, a vessel between heaven and earth. And this is not a burden. It is your sacred inheritance. This is what generations before you prayed for. You are the answer to your great-grandmother's aching silence. You are the healing balm for your father's untold pain. You are the voice for the women in your lineage who were not allowed to speak. You are the awakening for the men who were taught not to feel. You are the restoration of balance, divine feminine and divine masculine in harmony, grounded in spiritual truth, not worldly chaos. Archangel Michael has seen every time your light was dimmed so someone else could feel bright. He has watched your energy get drained by people who had no intention of pouring back into you. He has stood by patiently, shielding you from deeper damage, even when you couldn't feel his wings covering you. And now, with this awareness returning to you, your relationship with him will begin to change. It will become more intimate, more clear, more powerful. You'll begin to sense his presence not just when you're in danger, but when you're on the edge of revelation. You'll feel him close when your heart stirs with purpose. You'll recognize his touch when things start shifting in your favor without logical explanation. Because logic has limits, but your spirit does not. You weren't born to live only in the five senses. You were born to live in alignment with all that is seen and unseen, to trust the whispers of your soul just as much as the voices in your head. You've spent too long making decisions out of fear. You've delayed too many dreams because you were waiting for someone to give you permission. But the only permission you ever needed was already granted the moment you were born. The moment you took your first breath, heaven said, "Yes, this one will change everything." And now you are beginning to believe it. That belief is your weapon. It is your shield. It is your compass. The enemy never wanted you to access this belief, because once you do, you become unstoppable. You stop settling. You stop shrinking. You stop betraying your own intuition just to keep people close who were never meant to stay. You stop making yourself digestible for people who have no taste for the sacred. You begin to reclaim every part of yourself you gave away just to feel accepted. And as you do, heaven rejoices, not because you're finally good enough, but because you finally remembered that you always were. From this place of truth, everything begins to change. Your voice will carry more power. Your presence will shift rooms. Your prayers will become declarations. Your boundaries will no longer feel like walls but like sacred containers. You'll no longer confuse stillness with stagnation or loneliness with abandonment. You'll know, deeply, that everything has purpose, even the pauses. Especially the pauses. Archangel Michael is not just protecting you from danger. He is guiding you toward purpose. He is clearing the way, not just so you can walk, but so you can lead. Because make no mistake, you are a leader. Not in a worldly sense, not always in titles or positions, but in essence. You lead with energy. With love. With light. With truth. And people will be drawn to you, not because of what you do, but because of who you are becoming. But with that light comes responsibility. You will not be allowed to play small anymore. You will feel it in your body, the tension, the discomfort, the spiritual pressure, every time you try to go back to old versions of yourself. You'll feel sick in spaces that are no longer for you. You'll feel drained in conversations that pull you out of alignment. This isn't a punishment. It's a sign. It's the divine saying, we didn't bring you this far for you to turn around. This is your turning point. This is where you leave behind the fragments and step into your fullness. And that fullness will not look like perfection. It will look like honesty. Like presence. Like compassion. Like fierce, holy love for yourself and others. That love will guide your steps now. Not ego. Not fear. Not external noise. Just love. Say, wash me in your mercy, Jesus, if you seek renewal. Pure, sacred, unshakable love, the kind your angels have always surrounded you with, even when you forgot it was there. That love will rewrite your story. It will reroute your path. It will remind you that you are not behind. You are not late. You are not off track. You are exactly where you are meant to be, on sacred ground, standing in the fire of transformation, guided by one of the most powerful angels in the celestial realms, and more supported than your mind can comprehend. And as this message wraps around your heart like a warm wind on a cold morning, something inside you begins to exhale, not just your breath, but your resistance. The tension you've held in your chest, the tightness you've been carrying in your jaw, your shoulders, your gut, it starts to melt, not because the pain is gone, but because you finally understand it. It wasn't meaningless. It wasn't just suffering. It was sacred refinement. And now, you see the purpose in it. Now, you see how it shaped you, not to break you, but to birth you into something greater. You were not abandoned. You were not forgotten. You were being hidden in plain sight, protected in the womb of divine timing. While others seemed to soar ahead, you were being rebuilt, bone by bone, soul by soul, into someone who could carry the magnitude of your mission without collapsing under its weight. That's what Archangel Michael has been watching over. Not just your protection from harm, but your preparation for greatness. And yes, greatness. That word might make you uncomfortable. Maybe the world taught you to shrink every time someone praised you. Maybe your upbringing whispered lies that made you afraid of your own power. Maybe religion made you believe that being humble meant being invisible. But heaven sees through that distortion. Humility was never about erasing your light. It was about recognizing its source and using it to serve with love. And you, dear soul, are about to serve in ways that leave ripples in the timelines of generations. You are not just being activated for your own healing. You are being aligned for global impact. That may sound dramatic, but energy never lies. You feel it, don't you? That subtle knowing that your life is about more than survival, more than bills, more than broken relationships and temporary highs. There is a current pulling you somewhere deeper, and no matter how much you've tried to ignore it, it's getting louder now. The divine doesn't shout. But it also doesn't stop speaking. And when you reach this level of readiness, everything becomes a message. Everything becomes a mirror. Every encounter becomes a test. Every emotion becomes a teacher. Every moment becomes an invitation to align more deeply with who you were always meant to be. And here's what's going to happen next, not because I say so, but because your soul has already agreed to it. You are going to start seeing the world differently. You'll notice patterns you used to ignore. You'll feel things before they happen. You'll have an urge to create, to speak, to move, and you won't even know where it's coming from. That's divine instruction. Follow it. Don't second-guess it. The instructions from the spirit realm are subtle, but they are persistent. And the more you say yes, the clearer they become. If you believe this word is from God, type Amen and send this to someone who needs encouragement.